So here we go again with another church shooting, another school shooting, this time at a Catholic Mass. I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry for how this is going to turn out. The sound isn't going to be great. There's not going to be many edits, if any at all. I just wanted to jump on and express my anger, my frustration, and my sympathy for the families in Minneapolis at Annunciation School and Parish. You know, I've often said on this channel, I'm a 30-year veteran of law enforcement, but what a lot of people don't know is that after 9/11, I was charged with heading up my department's Homeland Security efforts. Part of that was working with the Joint Terrorism Task Force. I got a security clearance. I got all kinds of intelligence with which to work to help secure different aspects of our city, the schools, churches, synagogues, our mall, things like that. I was privy to a lot of information, a lot of intel that I never shared with my wife. I couldn't. Not only could I not because of my security clearance, but I didn't want to also worry her. We had our kids in Catholic school for many, many years. And it was a decently secured school, I guess. Of course, it could always be better. But what's so frustrating is, and I'm going back now 15 years, you know, and I don't know how many, I lost count how many pastors of Catholic churches that I approached saying, Father, you really need to secure this a little bit better, this church, you know. I'll never forget, there was an incident where this mentally disturbed woman drove her van through the front doors of a Prot church all the way up to their altar, and we had to respond and take her into custody and all that. And it got me thinking at that point, and I went to my pastor and I said, Father, is there any way we could put some kind of big planters or something in front of these front doors? You know, we never had security there, ever. Off-duty detail officers or even private security. He was appreciative of me attending Mass in uniform, armed, of course. But he never made that extra step. And his reasoning and the reasoning behind all the other pastors that poo-pooed me, okay, was, well, we want it to be a welcoming environment. And I told them, you know, I've been through all kinds of Homeland Security courses. They sent me to Anniston, Alabama to learn how to secure critical infrastructure, churches, malls, schools, okay? I know how to do it without making it look like it's an armed encampment. And I told them that. I said, we can still have a welcoming environment, but we can also secure it. And I was turned down time and time again. I'm not saying this is the case in Minneapolis. I pray they had some kind of security and that something else happened, okay? But parents, you have to start talking to these pastors. You have to start insisting on better security. The last I've heard, there was an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old murdered in Minneapolis by this cowardly scumbag. It's inexcusable. There should be outside security to stop any threats before they get anywhere near the school or the church. There has to be a plan. There are thousands of highly trained law enforcement people, retired and current, that can secure a location like this. I did it. I did it since 2001. I went all over my city. And I went to different schools. Again, the mall. I got a grant from the federal government to help secure that mall because malls were a big target after 9/11, as were schools. Did you know that after 9/11 and we hit Afghanistan the way we did, there were actually floor plans of a school here in Southwest Florida, by the way, where I live now, floor plans of a school found in a cave in Afghanistan. That never really made it into the public, did it? There was also videos that we were shown of Al-Qaeda practicing attacking a professional golf tournament. What I'm saying is there's too much intelligence out there. There's too many examples of school shootings and church shootings to not have these churches and schools secured better. There's no excuse. And again, I'm not saying that this is the case in Minneapolis, but this guy shouldn't have gotten anywhere close. Dressed all in black, carrying 2 long guns and a pistol. He shouldn't have gotten anywhere near that building. I'm sorry, but I'm very angry right now. I'm trying to watch my language because I just want to let loose a whole string of profanities, but it won't do any good right now. I'm actually sitting outside of a local Catholic church because my first thought was to go in and pray a rosary for these children and their families. I'm so angry, though, I can't go in. Men, especially Catholic men, I'm telling you, start getting with your pastors. Start forming security teams at your churches. Some have them, most don't. Most don't. I'll never forget, every time there was our first day of school, my wife and I would both bring our kids, again, they were in Catholic school, to school for the first day of school. I always wore my uniform, even if I wasn't working. Okay? I wore my uniform, including my gun, of course. And I'll never forget, one time I'm walking through the hallways with my kids, and I don't know if it was a teacher or another parent, but I heard. She made sure I heard. Does he really have to wear his gun in here? Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. And when that guy comes through the door or starts shooting it up from the outside like this guy in Minneapolis, you're going to be glad I did. You're going to be glad somebody was there. The only guy or the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And we often hear from the left after these shootings, enough with the thoughts and prayers. Let's do gun control. Well, that's a whole argument for another day, okay? But I agree with one aspect of that. Yeah, let's stop with the thoughts and prayers. Let's secure these places, people. If the pastor can't spend the money to do it, then volunteer to do it. I'm volunteering right here, right now, in the Diocese of Venice in Florida, Southwest Florida, to come do a security analysis of your school, of your church, any other facility that you would like. I am eminently qualified to do that. I have so much training. And I know how to secure someplace against threats. And I can do it without making it look like an armed encampment, okay? Feel free to contact me. I will do it for free. I've always offered that. I used to train our officers in my department with how to respond to active shooters. But you know what? The best way to respond to active shooters is to thwart any threat from the beginning. And part of that is to have a visible security component. They're not going to go to a hardened target. They're going to go to an easy, soft target because they don't want to be challenged before they can kill little babies, okay? Before they can kill children. And of course, this coward had to take his own life. It sickens me. I'm sick to my stomach over this. Just over the years, how many times I've been rebuffed by pastors. I've been told, leave your gun at home for Mass, Chris. You don't need to wear your gun at Mass, Chris. I've been rebuffed by pastors when I've sent them emails or talked to them in person. Father, let me do a security analysis. Let me start a security team for you in this parish. Shame on you. Shame on any of you pastors who haven't done the job. And again, I'm not saying this is the case in Minneapolis. I don't know. But from what I can glean from all the news reports, there wasn't a lot of security there. And if that's the case, hear what I'm saying, if that was the case, it's inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable. I'm going to say a little bit more about this in another video. But the main thing I want you to get out of this is I'm praying for these families. These poor little girls, or poor little, I don't know if it was a boy or girl, these poor little kids, the 8-year-old and 10-year-old. These poor classmates of theirs that I'm sure saw that and were frightened beyond belief for their own safety. This is going to scar them. This is going to be a PTSD situation for these poor kids for the rest of their lives. They're going to have to deal with this. And I just pray that they lean on our blessed Lord and our blessed Mother to get through it in their lives. I'm so angry right now. I know there's a ton more that I want to say, but if you hear nothing else in this video, I want parents, I want any parishioners, get with your pastor and demand security. I guarantee you there's at least one cop in every parish that would be willing to step up and start a security team or do a security analysis. And if there isn't, you go to your local police department and you ask them for a police officer to hire off duty. And I'm telling you, if you were to put it to your congregation like that and say, look, taking up a second collection today to pay for an off-duty officer to be outside or be on property, I guarantee you the parishioners would pony up. Stop sticking your head in the sand, okay? Stop sticking your head in the sand and thinking this isn't going to happen to you. I ran into that so many times in so many different schools, even the schools that did bring me in to talk to the teachers, to tell them, look, if there's an active shooter, this is how we're going to respond. We are not going to stop at the first person we see injured. We're going to step over injured people to get to the threat, to stop the threat. You know, we had to tell them what to expect. We went over the run, hide, fight scenario. We did all kinds of training, but as I'm doing the training, I could see just their eyes glazing over because they felt that it just wasn't going to happen to them. That's something that happens somewhere else. It's amazing. The level of just ignorance and thinking that it's not going to happen to you. There's a word I'm reaching for and I can't find it right now. Denial. The level of denial. You know, one of the best police trainers I'd ever heard said denial is like a nice, big, soft, cozy blanket that people just want to pull over themselves and just go to sleep. They don't want to think that this could happen. Well, you know what? It's time to wake up, people, and stop this. Get with your pastors. Get with your principals of Catholic schools. Demand security, armed security at your schools and at your parishes. There should never be an excuse for this to happen again. I'm sorry if the sound is bad. It's not going to be any editing or anything like that in this video. To me, I don't know, maybe this is just cathartic. I just needed to get this off my chest because I'm so angry over how many years since 9/11 that I got poo-pooed and I got dismissed and offering free of charge to secure some of these places, and they're still not secured. They're still not secured. So I'm angry, and I again, I don't know what happened in Minneapolis. I don't know what kind of security, if any, they had. And I don't want to make judgment on that pastor or the principal until we find out more. This is more just my anger coming out over the years of being refused. I will say that whatever security, if they had any, other than locked doors, that security failed. It wasn't done right. Okay, especially on a first day of school. There should have been massive security. Anyway, just please join me in praying for those two little children, their families, all the other students and families in that school and in that parish. God help us. I understand the whole problem of evil. I do. And God's going to bring something good out of this. He will. I know it. He always does. We cannot lose faith. There's a reason this happened. Keep the faith. Pray to St. Michael for protection. Keep close to our blessed Lord and our blessed Mother. Please pray for these victims and their families. I'm going to pray a rosary. God bless, and just keep safe, everybody.